Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Schwartz from Quantum Management Services. Last week, I posted a blog on the new realities that we are living in working from home, working remotely, interviewing remotely, dealing with candidates, and all of the considerations, both from an HR perspective and from a technical perspective. Over the coming week, I'm going to be doing a web series with an IT consultant that's going to speak to HR managers, speak to hiring managers and business owners, giving you guys some advice on how to deal with these new considerations from a technology standpoint, giving you advice that maybe you need in these really tough times. So it's geared towards everyone, but so feel free to share the video for anyone that you think might benefit from this. So I'll be chatting with Adam Rafe. He's from the company TechCentric. He's our specialist today. Adam, welcome.
Hi, Cindy. Thanks for having me.
So tell me, what are we going to be covering today? What's today's cast about?
In our first segment, we'll be discussing how to interview candidates remotely, the best applications to use, and go over some tips and tricks to make it a great experience.
Perfect. And what makes you our expert? Tell us a little bit about who you are, Adam.
Well, I'm the owner at TechCentric. We provide full service and technical support for small, medium-sized businesses and startups. We've been specializing for many years in helping companies move their work tools to the cloud in a safe and secure way, which is key to being able to work remotely.
Absolutely. So you're all wondering, Cindy, it seems a little counterintuitive to be hiring during a pandemic. Why are you talking about this? So we realize that there's, a few key pros and cons of, going ahead and hiring in this new reality. I think chief among them would be that, we've been experiencing a candidate shortage market for the last 18 months, and now you're going to have access to a whole new whack of candidates. So you want to access them before everybody else does, before your competition does. So I think that's the first point. Adam?
Yeah, yeah. It's also a good opportunity to showcase to prospective applicants that you're not only, tech savvy, but also agile. It's also worth mentioning, but I believe that Quebec is offering financial assistance to companies who want to improve their existing employee skills, which is not a bad idea considering this new normal.
Absolutely. I think 2 points to that is that number one, as you were saying about the agile, is that the younger generation want to work for companies that have the technological prowess, I guess you could say, to be able to work from home, all these new reality. They're new for a lot of us, but I think that the younger generation has been gearing up for this for a while. And in terms of your point about the government, yes, the government started offering subsidies as of April 6th. They've earmarked $100 million for small and bigger size businesses to be able to improve on technology, training, e-tools, all this sorts of stuff. So now's the time to really, really take advantage of it. I think also just, last point before we jump into the interview is you want to be prepared for recovery efforts. You want to make sure. I realize that not everybody can afford to hire right now. I realize that obviously mass hiring is not going to be happening, but there are key positions that need to be filled. So I think it's important to identify the gaps and be ahead of the game while there's, an abundance of candidates in the market, again, to be able to help you find the best candidate that's going to be able to help you once the recovery efforts start and we kind of adjust to our new normal. So with that being said, we're going to go into the technology part of this so that you can share your knowledge with all the wonderful people out there who need it. So tell me, what are the best technologies to use, the best apps to use right now to interview and interact with candidates?
I think first and foremost, it's about choosing the one that you're most comfortable with. The number one objective at the end of the day is to connect and to engage with the applicant. The technology should really fade into the background. All the popular programs like WebEx, BlueJeans, Skype, Google Hangouts, they all offer the same basic functionality that you'll need for interviewing, which is to allow 2 or more participants and to allow the ability to share your screen, let's say, to review a resume.
Yeah, or even them showing the job description, for example, could be really helpful. Awesome. So some of them are paid, some of them are free. I know with the free ones, there's like a time limit. And usually, or sometimes, I guess if the interview is going well, the interview might go beyond those time limits. How do you work around that?
Like you said, most of these programs do offer free versions. Some have limitations like a time limit in relation to participants of 2 or more. So if you're 2 or less, there's no issues there. My advice in general would be to determine what your criteria is beforehand. How long do you anticipate your meetings being? Um, do you require two or more people to attend the meetings? Um, will there be people calling in by phone, perhaps long distance? Will you need the ability to record the meetings? Ask yourself those questions first, and then find the right tool for yourself, even if it does mean paying a few dollars.
Yeah, and most of them are not that expensive, so it's a minor consideration in this big scope. And in terms of like sending candidates, in like confirmations. So usually we send, the address and welcome to our office. Now we're welcoming people into our homes. So a lot of the softwares, like, how do you know if the candidate has the application that you're choosing to interview them in?
Right. All these applications are compatible with Mac, with Windows, with iPhone, and with the Android platform. So fully covered. In terms of sending out the invitations, um, they each have a different way of going about that. Some allow you to do it directly through your Outlook program. Some will allow you to send out the invitation through their own software. Some will ask you to copy and paste the link, but all of them are really simple to do.
Awesome, which is nice to know. Okay, and then on this section, lastly, which I think is on everyone's mind with everything that's going on in the news, are there any security risks for both the candidate and the employer?
Yeah, good question. Good question. The main concerns around security are the actual accounts themselves getting hacked, perhaps having uninvited guests join the meetings, or in some cases, sharing the meeting out of Linux with third parties. And at the end of the day, it's really about following good security practices. Have a strong password. Enable a second method of authentication, usually text messaging. Restrict access to your meetings so people can't access them who are not invited. In terms of the analytics, it's sending unidentifiable information like the time of your meeting, the duration, the participants, and each person has their own comfort level with that, and each companies have their own policies on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that I just thought of is for candidates, if you are working, I would recommend that you don't use your work laptop to connect to virtual interviews. There's a trace, obviously, like you said, there's meeting invites that could be traced back. So I would really recommend that you use your personal laptop or your phone to conduct the interviews or schedule the interviews after hours. I think a lot of employers, if you're working, everybody's a lot more accessible now. So I think that there's that to consider as well. Awesome. Okay, so the other thing we want to talk about today is, again, we're welcoming people into our homes. We're not welcoming them into our offices anymore. So things are a bit different. So what are some of the more kind of technical but soft things that we need to consider to have a successful interview so that as the company, we look super professional and give a great impression, and as the candidate, we we also give off a good impression. Now I know that in today's world nobody wears pants anymore, so that seems to be a given. But other than that, what are the other considerations?
Right. Um, First, take the time to practice using the software.
Yeah.
Familiarize yourself. Do some test runs with a colleague. Make sure you know how to host the meeting from beginning to end. Make sure you understand how the candidates will join the meeting and how that process looks. So you can help them if they need help. Make sure to have a strong Wi-Fi signal at home. Make sure your lighting is good. Make sure you can see the person's entire face clearly. Have an uncluttered and professional background as much as possible. You can set your camera a little higher than average at eye level, which is a little better for communication. And make sure the audio is good. Make sure you can hear them well and they can hear you. But again, I think it's all about staying relaxed and just remembering it's about creating a connection and engaging with your applicant.
Like we are right now.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for all the technical advice. We really appreciate it. So just to recap, we talked at the beginning about, having access to all these candidates. And while I think that's amazing, and we're all in a very fortunate position in that regard as employers, not so much as candidates that are obviously have lost their jobs, this can benefit candidates too. If employers are hiring, then candidates are getting jobs. So I think it really benefits everyone. But all that to say, one consideration that my clients did share with me. So I do have a few clients that have successfully hired and onboarded in the last 3 to 4 weeks during everything that's been going on. And the one consistent thing that they said was, thank God we hired candidates that had experience or expertise in the particular job or the particular domain, because to onboard a candidate that is junior and doesn't have a lot of experience for a more complex role, which we identified, like, those key roles to recovery, you really need to have the right person in place more than ever. So it's important, yes, to engage with all the candidates in the market, but it's also still really important to be headhunting and connecting with candidates that are also the top in their field. So all that to say, our next series is going to cover the next stage in this, which is onboarding. So we're going to talk about the technical considerations and the right applications and operating systems to onboard candidates that you've recently hired. And we will also talk about best practices when it comes to onboarding people. I will again share stories of success with some of my clients who have done it in the last couple of weeks. We thank you for sharing your time with us today, Adam. Really, really informative stuff. If you do have questions for us, you can email us at questions@quantum.ca. And if you want to connect with Adam, if you require his technical expertise, how can people reach you, Adam?
Yeah, if you have any questions or need a hand with setting anything up, you can contact me directly, adam@techcentric.ca, or via our website, techcentric.ca.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Adam. Have a great afternoon. Looking forward to seeing you the next time.
Thanks so much, Cindy.
Bye.